sometimes we think when we have a hammer, everything's a nail, right? And sometimes your hammer doesn't fit with the task that needs to be done, and being okay to stay in your lane. This is the talent I bring to the table, and that doesn't quite line up. You don't have to be desperate. It doesn't feel good to be desperate. You don't have to be in a scarcity mindset where you have to grab anything, but just permission to say no. But reflect gives you the confidence to then move forward, because I can guarantee you there would definitely be something better.
Welcome to the Hope and Hairspray podcast. I'm Rhodey Kate.
And I'm Kelly Osborne. Today, we will lead you on a journey of self-development and professional growth. You will be inspired to be the best version of who you were meant to be.
Let's jump in.
Hello. We're back in the studio today, and we are chatting about topic number 9, right? And it is just a great story. I love you're just going to love this. So it is called Unless There's Something Better. So that was a transformative thing for you.
I love this. I still love this. It's not been that long since.
No?
Yeah.
No. So let me tell you the story.
Tell the story.
That how this came apart. And we love being these little wisdom pickers, and we put them in our toolbox, and we love to share them with you. So that's why we're here today. Is that we can bring these little golden nuggets, these revelations, these truths to you. So today, unless there's something better, is what we're talking about. And this came from my husband when he was in a small group of guys, and they were all chatting about, this happened to be about heaven. And one of the leaders of the group, maybe his child asked, so when I get to heaven, will my dog be there? And that is a tough question for a little kid to ask you, right? You're like, because we're not sure.
Yeah.
Right. So his response was, unless there's something better. Isn't that fantastic?
It is. When I heard that, I still think I just got chills. I just love that. I mean, yes, unless there's something better. And so to me, that is an amazing mantra to have for a couple of reasons. One, I mean, the positivity about that is just off the charts, right? Yes, unless there's something better. But it's that opening for possibilities, because sometimes I think we think small.
Sure.
And we think something, and we think it's grand and it'll be great. And then it when it blows it off the doors, there's, we sort of do we cap ourselves when we plan every little, I'm a planner, I'm high in strategy, right? But when you plan every little detail out, you don't leave opportunity. We think we don't leave opportunity for mistakes or failure or unclearness. You don't leave opportunities for something even better than you thought about, right? And so,
I love that.
Yeah, so you shared that with me last year, and I was like, wow, I love that. And I have seen it a couple ways, happen in my life, that idea of, yes, unless there's something better, versus that, in case it doesn't work. I mean, you know what I mean? I love that.
So I think this is going to go back again. It's mindset.
Yeah, it's a mindset.
We have a lens that may always filter things that that it could be worse, right? That it might not be good, or what's supposed to happen. If it's not going to happen, it's going to be bad.
Right.
Right. We kind of slant that. We can slant that way. But instead, doors closing.
Right.
Take for instance, when we used to bid catering jobs for the menu manager, we would bid that job and we wouldn't get it. And at first it was just such a personal thing.
Right.
Wow, they didn't choose us. I think sometimes we were protected from maybe clients that didn't line up well with us. I firmly believe that. So that is a shift you can have when doors close, right? That maybe that would not have been the best case scenario for you. Right. But we also think no is a final answer.
Right.
Right. It is when you say, I don't want to do something, like you can just say no.
Yeah. I mean,
right?
it is an answer, and it's final for that moment, but doesn't mean that unless there's something better, there might be something better out there. I mean, why does it have to be negative? I don't understand. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just for that.
Yeah.
There's a no, but with a no, what can come from that is a yes, an opportunity for a yes.
Something else, something different, something
Or something
unexpected.
different. So
I think back to something I learned early in my career. So, as part of my career, although I've been in learning and development, I started out not for profit, and then I went to the corporate world. But I have always been the person people come to when they're doing job search. Right. And so even at like 24, I was helping people with resumes. Like, what did I know at 24? I'd been in two or three, whatever years in the world of business. So I've done that kind of all my life. But what I realized is I've learned lots of things. Right. So the first job after college, I was working with a headhunter, and they would send me out on a lot of interviews because I interviewed well, because high in communication and I like people. So they were like, yeah, send her out. And I was like, this is not what I wanted at all. But at one point I got to where I really wanted this job. It was in marketing. It was with a card company. Like, they created like greeting cards. It was in Dallas at the time, so based in Dallas. And I really, really wanted it. So two things happened. One is I got feedback from my headhunter, and they said that I didn't act like I wanted the job. So rule number one, those are looking for a job, it's okay to be excited about the job and show that enthusiasm. I was 22 and was trying to act like a grown-up. Luckily, I have ditched that completely, and I don't even try anymore. But I was trying to act like a grown-up, so I was trying to be sophisticated. So I didn't go, yes, I'd like this job. I just didn't show my enthusiasm. So I learned that. But what I found out more interesting, then I ended up interviewing for something else. I didn't get it. I got a no. I interviewed something else, and I got that job, which really legitimately was perfect fit for me. I ended up working there 8 years, 4 years, and then I came back, and I learned all my learning and development really at that job. It was just perfect for me. But 6 months after I got the no, and I'm already working in this other role, that company got transferred to Cincinnati. And I just need you to know, Cincinnati, I love you guys, but at 22, it's not where I wanted to be. And they wouldn't have taken me. I'd probably gotten laid off because I was so junior. I mean, they're going to really pick me up and, move me? Probably not. So sometimes we get that no, and it is a no because there's something better. And we just hearing those words to me, even when I say them like in a story context, like there's like a little effervescence, like a little champagne bubbles in me go, unless there's something better. You don't know what it is.
It's a
okay.
shift. It's a shift.
It is.
Goodness, just the layers and layers that get heaped on us from when we're a child.
Yeah.
And it's just, they're always looking for what the next opportunity is. And,
Right.
and a no is just a no. And on they go, well, there can be a little meltdowns, but they just move on so quickly.
They do, yeah.
And sometimes we can get stuck in a no.
Yeah.
A job layoff.
Yeah. Not getting a job.
Not getting a job.
Yeah.
Relationships ending. We've got to be really careful because those are drains in our life, right? That we can get pushed down in.
It'd be hard to be bounced back from, for sure.
That resilience isn't there like when we were children. I don't know what happens to us as we grow up. We tend to, you know what? If I just expect the worst and I get the worst, I'm not. Oh, nothing breaks my heart than that.
No, that's hard.
But why not expect the best?
Right.
But that doesn't mean you have to be let down if it's a no.
Right.
Expect the best again on what's next, what's coming, what's around the corner. If that was a no, like you hear the story about the twins that came in, and they put them in two separate rooms, and one had a pile of manure. Or they both had piles of manure, and the negative twin was like, no, the positive twin was like, oh, there must be a pony somewhere. Right? There's
that's great.
Right? Like that mindset of, wow, okay, what where's the opportunity?
Right,
It's looking for the yes.
Yeah,
There is
yeah.
a yes, and maybe you were protected from something.
Right.
You
And my
didn't
guess-
want to move somewhere cold.
I no, I didn't really want to. I mean, and I
Right.
was, I was back in Dallas. I had graduated from college. I was settled there, and I was excited about being there.
Sure.
For sure. I mean, now Paris, that might have been a different story, but hey, it was again. I love you, Cincinnati.
I do. We're actually going there this weekend.
You are going there this weekend. Yeah. So, from all of that perspective, so it really is like there's also an element of you don't know why. Right? You don't know what happened or why it happened, but there's a reason. Like, of course, I'm high in connectivity, connectedness, which is one of the Clifton strengths, natural talents, is I believe everything happens for a reason. But even with that mindset, I still forget and I still
Sure.
kind of go. But reality is things happen and you don't know everything. We do not know everything. I didn't know they were going to move. I didn't know any of those things. And I didn't know that I was going to have this job that was going to be so perfect for me and really launch me into what ended up being my entire career. Like I've worked for a ton of different companies, worked for different companies in different industries and different levels. Like I've, facilitated, I've created instructional design, I've done evaluation, I do a lot of strategy, I've worked in the US, I've worked nationally, I've done all that. But within this one basic arena of why or how people learn and develop and how they become good leaders, right? I wouldn't have had that going down that road. So there's a little bit of, yes, unless there's something better and you don't always know why, and to trust that it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't the best thing to have happened to you. You just you don't have the big picture. You can't see everything.
For sure. I think as humans, we judge our actions by intent.
Right.
I didn't mean to do that. But we also do that with other people, but we judge their intent. How do we know that?
Right.
How do we know that just wasn't an action? Maybe they hired internally, right? So you didn't get the job, or maybe their budget came down, so they didn't have money for the job.
Mm-hmm.
Or like for us, when we're bidding catering jobs, there are so many other factors,
That we
but
don't
we
know.
tend to always focus on ourselves, a rejection, failure, whatever it is. And you could have just had a couple of failures in your life. You could have many, you could have just a couple, but which ones are you circling? Which ones come up over and over and over? And which ones can you flip the script?
Yeah.
They say hindsight's 20/20. That's what you're doing with that story. You're looking back and going, whew, that's great. I didn't have to move somewhere cold. And I can stay in my community that you had created. Can we do that can we go back and touch memories that may have spun out a negative thought pattern for us? Mm-hmm. Can we go back and say, let's apply some 20/20 to that, some hindsight?
Right.
Let's look at that. You could look at where you are now. Mm-hmm. I'm in a second marriage, and I actually married who I dated through high school. But a lot of people say, you guys should have just, you should have just stayed together,
Yeah.
right? And we both instantly say no. Like, there's no way.
Right.
Like, we wouldn't have the kids we have. There's no way we would have changed anything, because that's our story. Right. And we are here.
Right.
And yes, now we have something better.
Right.
But that doesn't mean it's just how you view that fear of failure or rejection or whatever you went through, that loss.
It didn't turn out the way you wanted it. You wanted to at the time.
It was not the plan.
Was not the plan. Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. But things happen. Things happen for a reason.
Right. And so I think it's good, like you're saying, go back and look back, so you can kind of go back and see things that didn't work out for you and go, what did work out? What was the something better? But I love it from, the hindsight 20/20. I love that piece. What I love is the possibility for future, because, I'm futuristic too, is this idea of saying, regardless of whatever it is, whatever you plan, is kind of putting that caveat on the end. That's what I envision, unless there's something better. I mean, what it does to your soul, at least what I'd love for people to tell me. For me, it's just so bubbly, and it's so, the possibilities, it's like, unless there's something better, great. I'm gonna leave room for that. And so I think it's a great mantra. I think it's a great mindset to have. And especially if you tend to be a bit on the negative side, maybe, well, you know the story of my husband. My husband is one of these people who is I'll lower my expectations so I don't get disappointed, because he's actually high in positivity. Did you know that? And so isn't that an interesting way of that?
Wow.
So he didn't want to, so he kind of lowers his expectations, and I don't do that. That's the opposite for me. But so if you're a little bit negative, your ability to say, yeah, I'll say whatever I say, and I'm just going to add this to the end, unless there's something better.
That's great. It's just a great outlook. I love how you can do it forward thinking.
Yeah.
So you set yourself up. We just spent an incredible 3 days with some amazing women at our sabbatical getaways that we do. And we had just a great guest in the house this time that knows naturally something's very difficult for her. She has high ideation, and she can move from task to task and get distracted very easily. That can happen. But she puts a framework around her day. And I was so impressed with it, because she blocks out certain time where she doesn't do anything but what's available to her to complete. On certain days and certain hours, she puts a mainframe around it because she knows. So if you're naturally somebody who looks at something, I don't want to be disappointed, you could put a framework around that of setting that in place ahead of time. Another thing she said is she says yes to everything. That's an opportunity, right? Let's see where this path may go, because you don't know what's around the corner, right? So what seems like might be a limited yes, even bordering on a kind of a no, like I'm not sure, may then open the door for something after that. It might just be something small that you're giving. But when you put a framework around and a mainframe, this is how I'm going to make decisions. This is how I'm going to view things. Maybe it's not natural for me. Then you can say, then it becomes your framework, right? It becomes a thought, like fake it till you make it.
Right, a little bit, absolutely.
I don't know where the philosophy and the actual science behind that. I love the data, so I don't know if that's. I used to say it all the time. Is there some data behind that?
There is some data behind it, but I'd have to go and look at it. I know I've talked about it in the past, but it's been kind of a while.
But then when you set that framework of unless there's something better in the future. You turn on what's called your RAS, your reticular activating system. Say you got a pink car, you literally look around and be like, I saw 4 pink cars today. I'd never seen them before. So if you choose to say, I'm gonna take all rejection, all failure, all no's, if you are gonna choose to say that ahead of time, then there must be something better. There must be an opportunity waiting around the corner. You just choose a different lens. You focus in, like your visit at the optometrist office where they keep click, right? Until you see, this is what I'm going to choose to think as I'm making decisions.
And I think, again, just adding it to your sentences are great. I think the other thing it does is sometimes we get focused on the wrong thing. I don't know if you remember the end of last year. And then last year I was kind of right near the end, like in November, I was waiting to hear back from a really basically small one-on-one coaching person. And that was like the last of it. I kind of shut things down at the end of the year. It's just, the holidays, I want to spend time with the family. So I don't go out and, really look for a business or do a lot of things. And so I'm like, I hope this comes in. Seriously, it was so small, but I was like, he's a good guy. I want, and it ended up, I got a call from someone else who, I don't know, it was, $10,000, $15,000 gig. And then she added to it. And I was just like, So I was focused and thinking about this one thing. Tiny, right? It's not, and then yet there's something better. And so it was funny because that was the same year that you told the story about unless there's something better. That was the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, come on, Rhodey. What are you thinking? Come on. Unless there's something better. I'm like, yeah, of course there's something better. Something I couldn't even imagine because I hadn't talked to her in years. And it worked out beautifully. She needed things and I was able to deliver. And I mean, it was a little bit more work than I normally do at the end of the year, but I don't know. I loved her. I loved her people. I went out to Nashville to be with her new, well, all managers. I would say new managers, but then I'm doing a program around new managers. And it's just, I mean, they were such a great group of people. So again, like, unless there's something better.
There was something better.
There's always something. There's always something better. But then I want you not to be, to be satisfied. I'm not saying it from that perspective. I'm just saying, hey, if you're negative, unless there's something better. And if you're positive, don't limit how you see something or what your goals are, because we don't know. We don't know. We're not supposed to know. I know a lot of us have that control need, and that can come from a lot of upbringing issues and some of that need to control everything. A little breathing room, unless there's something better.
Thanks for listening to this episode. We would love to invite you to an experiential in-person event called our Women's Sabbatical Getaways. This year, we're going to Ludington, Michigan, Dallas, Texas, and Seattle, Washington. If you want more information, you can go to our website at hopeandhairspray.com, click on sabbaticals, and fill out the interest form. We would love to see you there. Let's jump back in. Also, another challenge, because I love to challenge people, is evaluate your no's. Not your no's. When you say no to things, sometimes we do that where we do it out of a scarcity mindset. Oh, I have to say yes to everything, right? I can't turn down that business, or I can't turn down this, especially as a small business owner. Sometimes we grasp, right? And we will take jobs that don't line up according to the skills we have or towards our product line. And sometimes we can just grab anything. Sometimes we need to say no.
Because it doesn't fit who you are, what you are. You're not earning your margin or ROI is not high on that. Absolutely. Say no. Yep.
So are you out there maybe thinking, wow, you have permission. Let's give our listeners permission to say no to things that don't line up. Sometimes that's scary.
It is.
Right?
It is,
we actually turned down a job. I used to tout that, we've only turned down 3 jobs in 5 years, and then you ever get a nice little, clothesline, like a gut check, is that really a badge of honor that you want to wear? People are like, I work 120 hours a week, reevaluating your badges, right? Mm-hmm. That was not a badge I needed to wear anymore. Right. We need to be specific. And we'll talk about in another episode about not being well-rounded, but making sure you're operating in the lane that you should be.
Right.
But also you say this all the time, and I love that. A no is a complete sentence.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And maybe you're saying yes to something else.
Right.
And your story depicted that so well.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a no, but that meant you had a yes to something better. That was such a foundational career move for you that built such a good base under your bag. I always call you Mary Poppins because you carry so many things in your bag, but that's your toolbox as well, and you're really good about that.
Yeah, so sometimes the no happens to us, and that's when you kind of have that mindset where you should, okay, unless there's something better. But I love how you flip that to sometimes we say no because there's something better, right? So basically don't take something because it's there or you were given it and you want something different, but that's what you were given. So I'm just going to take this. It doesn't quite fit. It doesn't quite work out, but I'm just going to take it. Say no. There's something better.
It's okay.
Right? Yeah. So it's okay to do that. That's actually a whole nother probably day and a half of conversation is women's ability to say no as a full sentence, full stop. Right. But we're not talking about that right now. We're saying, just that vision beyond the no, there's something better.
Absolutely.
And I think it's life-changing. There is Sean Acker, who does a lot of positivity, and he's got that great book about just anyway, I really love him. I love his wife. It's kind of creepy, but they're so amazing. And all their stuff is research based because they're big scientists. He's the guy that, the Harvard happiness professor and all that type of stuff. And she's a great researcher as well. But the research on the ability, like when you say positive things to yourself or you focus on the gratitude, you do, and this is what this is, that whole positivity, how a little step and doing little things along the way has a long-term effect on your psyche, right? So those are other studies I won't get into, but like where they said, and they wrote about gratitude for 2 minutes every day for X amount of time, then they checked their positivity or their pessimism level and things later, and it was vastly different. So it doesn't take much, and this little thing can be, this little saying can be something that really, I think, changes your mindset from a way of going from maybe more negative or more pessimistic to more optimism.
It's so helpful. So many of us are visual people, so we live in houses where there's 1 or 2 doors. So our frame of mind, usually when a door closes, that there's not too many other options.
Right.
And that couldn't be further from the truth. So imagine your house like filled full of 40 different doors. And when a door does close, you shift, like make a physical shift. Like what door is going to open, right? Like
or window. I
mean,
yeah,
sure.
Like you
can get out a window.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to get out of that house, right?
There's more ways.
Or the situation you're in, right? Not so limited. Unless
it's a
there's
mindset. It's a mindset shift. So many of these podcasts that we're going to share with you are shifts. We love to debunk things. We love to bust myths, especially for females. We live in a culture where a lot of things are not as they are or need to be, right? So that's what we're going to do. But we will always give you challenges as well. So what do you think the 2 challenges? Because I think I feel 2 brewing up in
That's
me.
so funny.
I
hope you have one because I'm like a little iffy on that. This one is really a mindset. And so I think a few episodes ago, I talked about like, having a column and writing things that didn't quite work out and then the positive, a little bit like that. I think, that hindsight, your 2020, look back on things that have happened and see, okay, I did get a no, but was there something better afterwards? Like maybe go back and be a little of a researcher and look back in your life to see examples of it, or maybe in someone in your loved ones or something like that life. So I think that's one thing that you can do. Do you have something, or do I need to come up with a second thing?
I do.
Oh, great.
I want to challenge you to be okay with saying no. Right? It is okay, and then it has that reflective piece. When have you said no? I love that because we sometimes, a lot of times, we remember things inaccurately.
Oh, yeah.
Right? They go through all these layers of years of filters in your brain, and that you're like, that really wasn't what was said there. Like you didn't understand it correctly. So permission to say no. But Rhodey, what you said, the activity of writing things down of how you remember them. Like there was a no there, but what did I learn?
Something better.
What else came about? Was there something better? Because that gives you confidence and courage to be okay with saying no. Man, sometimes we think when we have a hammer, everything's a nail, right? And sometimes your hammer doesn't fit with the task that needs to be done. And being okay to stay in your lane. This is the talent I bring to the table, and that doesn't quite line up. You don't have to be desperate. It doesn't feel good to be desperate. You don't have to be in a scarcity mindset where you have to grab anything, but just permission to say no. But reflect gives you the confidence to then move forward, because I can guarantee you there would definitely be something better. We'll see you next time.